Hi everyone, it's a bit of a stormy afternoon here, so apologies if there's any noise and the light is a bit low. But I thought it was the perfect weather to talk about something that I've been thinking about a lot in my own personal life and also spills out a lot into my artwork, which is always the case because my artwork is very much a direct reflection of my own inner emotional state. Which brings me to the whole point of this video, which is the concept of this kind of as within, so without. So the concept of whatever's going on kind of inside of you in your energetic, emotional, spiritual space inside is what you will see reflected out into your physical reality. And it's something that a lot of people talk about, as manifestation or in self-help and self-development circles, but also very much in spiritual circles. But it's something that I think a lot of people, people who are overly kind of, focused on the 3D physical reality can often kind of dismiss as something that's a little bit like woo-woo, a little bit out there, a little bit of a concept that doesn't, it's not based in anything, and it's a little bit, fluffy. But on the other hand, it is not. It is actually scientifically proven, and this is something now that the quantum physics, well, not now, this was proven, back in the 1930s and even previous to that, but it has been proven through scientific study that this is in fact, scientifically proven that this is in fact what happens. That frequencies will actually change, that light frequencies will actually behave differently when observed as opposed to when they're not observed. So it's a fascinating kind of reality, and something that is easy to kind of hear about and go, oh yeah, but really, because we're so programmed to believe otherwise, because we're so programmed, so many of us, to believe in things like destiny or a higher power or whatever it may be, and not saying that these things don't exist, but it can kind of condition us to take a little bit of a backseat to our own emotional state and our own inner state and kind of think, well, whatever's going to happen is meant to happen. And not to say that there's not a truth in that as well, but you play an integral part. You play the foundational, the fundamental part in what happens, what you see reflected in your physical reality. You are literally the creator of your physical reality. Which, when kind of harnessed, it's something that I know for myself, that I've known this for years, but it's something that I've really been doing a deep dive on lately, just because, I've been going through my own spiritual growth, my own really, really challenging kind of emotional times, dealing with a lot of trauma, a lot of stuff from, early childhood, a lot of stuff from just a lot of stuff all at once that, that I've talked about in my past videos. I won't go down my own personal journey in this video. But it's something that I've been really focusing on, is this idea of as within, so without. So, I've become really, really aware and really focused on what kind of energy I am carrying, what kind of thoughts I am entertaining. And this is not an idea of, this is not a kind of, super positive, like always think positive type of idea. This is not how I approach it whatsoever. Because fundamentally, if you're energetically in a bad space, if your inner dialogue is fundamentally in some way negative or some way toxic or some way not conducive to your truth, your own inner truth, your own divine self, not your mind, not your ego, but what's beyond, what's below that, what's beneath that. And if your vibration, if you're not vibrating, conducively to that kind of foundation of who you are as a soul, and your own inner truth, then, you're going to continually see something that is misaligned with who and what you are showing up around you, which is something that has happened to me many times in many ways through my life. And that's not to blame anybody else, but it's just for, the sheer fact that, one, I have, like many people do, spent a great deal of my life, especially when I was younger, trying to conform to society, to circles of people, to situations that did not resonate with me, that did not represent me in any way, that I knew in the core of my being I didn't belong in, but I tried to mold myself to fit. So that's no one's fault. That's a part of growth and trying to fit into the world. And it's definitely not the fault of the people around me. But what it does is it reflects out into a world, a physical reality that you feel that you don't fit into. And another thing that I've done is, carried a lot of past pain, converted that into a lot of fears and reflected, and carried this real kind of fear state and this fear vibration, this fear-based energy with me for many years of my life. I'm unpacking and unpeeling, day by day, little by little, even more about how much I've done this. But what that has resulted in is my fears and the things that that my ego is trying to protect myself against by having these constant fear-based, narratives playing through my mind, is that it's reflected more of that fear. It has produced more of the things that make me feel fearful in my physical reality. So it's a really fascinating, really powerful thing to play with, a really interesting thing to reflect upon. And of course, in a positive way, and this is the whole concept of manifestation. It can be used, and it can be used as not just a tool, but I mean, this is our superpower, really. This is an incredible superpower. Like, we all have this incredible ability to create our own reality. The thing is often you'll have people creating from the place of ego rather than their own truth. So one of the things that I would say is, when you're creating from this place, when you realize that you are this master creator of your own life and you can create your own reality, and you are creating your own reality by believing it, by repeating it, by living in it, by vibrating in accord with it, be selective about what it is. Once you realize that you want to manifest or whatever it is, or you want to vibrate, on the level of bringing something new into your life that you want, just realize that we do also have the power to manifest things that aren't necessarily good for us. You can manifest things, toxic situations that you can come to, might be a certain type of dynamic, or a certain, like an expensive car, or, a certain amount of money, or a situation, or a certain type of relationship. And maybe these things are not in your highest good as well. And if that's the case, that's not to say that you can't manifest them, because you absolutely can. Once you learn to kind of work with your own vibration and work with your own frequency and work with the inner dialogue that you have running. But what can happen as well is you end up manifesting something that creates more toxicity and more, that drives you further away from your soul's truth, from what you are. So not to say that anything you manifest is going to align with your soul, because sometimes, a lot of the time, we're manifesting from the ego, from the mind, from the programming of this 3D world that we have been born into, and not from the heart and soul and root, the essence of what we are. So something to really think about. And interestingly enough, this painting behind me was from a series of works that I did, which was showing, and I'll put a picture of the painting up here because you can't see it very well behind me, but you can see in this painting, it's entitled Introspection, and you can see in this painting that the environment in which the subject stands, so the sky behind him, the sea behind him, the colors used behind him, are representative. They're a reflection, they're an outer reflection of his inner reality, of his inner state. And it was really interesting because I've been thinking so much about this as within, so without concept. And this painting was done a few years ago, and I wasn't actively thinking of it in this way of how, we're master creators of our own reality, and this whole kind of idea of quantum physics, and how through observation we can manipulate and create our physical reality. But I realized this painting is a perfect illustration of this exact concept. The clouds in the background, the way that they're kind of surreal, the colors that I used, the whole thing, and all of the clouds you'll see in all of my paintings, they're exaggerated and they're hyper, the color is, super strong and super exaggerated, and they're meant to be that way for a reason. My objective is never to paint kind of natural looking, real looking clouds. The idea is to, my dog is checking out what I'm doing here. Yes, you can come in, sweetie. And the idea is to create this sense of emotion, to enhance the emotion of the subject. So the idea of the clouds in my paintings are always there to further create further depth into the emotion that's being conveyed through the subject or through the painting as a whole. So they're there, all of the colors, the structure of the clouds, sometimes they look very unreal, very surreal, and that's all really intentional. So in this painting, you can see that this particular subject is going through this moment of real kind of inner turmoil, and it coming from a really kind of dark place as well. There's a real exploration of the shadow going on. He's, kind of in a very, very low, very dark, very melancholic state. And you can see this reflected in his outer world. So this is just a really interesting visual interpretation of what it is that I'm talking about in this video, and something that I personally have been thinking about on a daily basis. I mean, almost hour by hour, day by day, I've been really starting to pay attention to what my thoughts are doing, what my energy is doing, what kind of stories I've been telling myself. Once I started to pay attention to these stories, to this ego dialogue, this ego narrative, and when I say ego, I hope you understand what I mean. It's that kind of voice in your head. It's what we're born into when we come into this physical body. It's the voice in our head. It's that thing that is our mind. We call it our mind, but it's really this protective kind of force that we develop in order to help us survive in the physical world. So it very often is fear-based. Very often is ego-based, obviously. It's very obsessed with its physical appearance. It's very obsessed with its physical existence, and it's very obsessed with fear. And the reason why it's obsessed with the physical part of us is because it comes with our body to help to protect us in the physical world. This is why it's not a negative thing, and the ego can be trained and the ego can be taught to be used as a really useful tool when you become a little bit more, when you go a little bit further along your spiritual journey. You can learn to actually harness the power of the ego and use it to benefit and support your spiritual growth, and to support your own truth and the essence of who you are. But often when we're younger and when we're still growing, and for some of us that might be the first couple of decades of our lives, for some of us it might be a lot longer than that. Like, it just depends. There's no judgment here because we're all different. We all have different souls journeys. But it's, yes, very often preoccupied with the physical, with the vanity aspect of ourselves, with how the world sees us, with our material possessions in the world, and with fear. And the reason why fear is because it is there to protect us. It's that instinctive protection in the physical world. Us as mammals, we need to have fear. Fear is not a terrible thing. It's built into us intentionally to save us. Like, we need to be fearful of not standing in front of a car. We need to realize that if a snake is coming toward us, in the forest, that we need to run. Like, we need fear. We need fear. But the thing is that we have created a society where we're constantly in that fear state, and we've created this consumer society that is constantly trying to trigger that fight or flight response in us, in order to get us to spend money, in order to get us to fundamentally dislike the way we look and feel like we're constantly in need and lack of changing and acquiring more and getting more money and having more in the bank and spending more on beauty products and getting a better car so people will like us, and wearing different clothes so people will find us more attractive, and whatever it is. This is all coming from fear, and fear is there to it's this fear. It may not be an existential fear, like, you might be thinking like, well, how does it make sense that if society is making you feel unattractive, that's triggering a fear-based mechanism? Well, it is, because what it is it's triggering this primal fear inside of you that you will be rejected by the pack, that you will be rejected by your community, that you won't be liked, that you won't find a romantic or sexual partner to live with, to procreate with, whatever it is. It's triggering this primal based fear of being left alone that we have as mammals living in this physical body. So because we're living in this society that is kind of puppeteering us using these kind of primal fear responses, we need to be vigilant in how we take back our power and reconnect it to our soul's truth and to who we really are. So a really good way of doing that is obviously through meditation, through any mindfulness practices, through really focusing on the breath, through really reconnecting with our heart space. So bringing the attention when we're in meditation, placing the hands on the heart, even closing the eyes down, and just deep cyclical breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, or in through the nose, out through the nose, whatever feels more natural to you. And really just directing your energy into your heart. And what this does is it brings the focus out of your analytical mind, where the ego lives, and into the heart space. And I'll do another video on this because it's so fascinating. But the wisdom of the heart is not, once again, just something that sounds nice and fluffy. It is actually our heart, and its heart energy is actually a highly, highly intelligent part of our physical and spiritual being, but physical being, like physically, our hearts are our second brains. It's something that we don't know very often. The stomach is also another one. But our hearts carry, this is where our intuition lies. This is where so much of our innate soul's path and spiritual wisdom lies. So the very simple act of bringing ourselves out of our head and into our heart through breathing can be really, really powerful. Also spending time in nature and spending time doing the things that you love that connect you. Like for me, if you're an artist, it's painting, it might be singing, it might be cooking for you, it might be walks in nature, it might be whatever it is. More of that will really help to bring you back into your own truth and into your own center, and allow you to vibrate on a level that is cohesive with the life that you want to create and the life that you want to see outside in your external world. My dog, she's having her zoomies. But yeah, that's all I've got today. Yes. Oh, sorry, sweetie. Thanks so much. I hope that resonated with you, and I'd love to hear if you're having any experiences or thoughts below. Feel free to leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will be exhibiting this painting at the end of next month. So I'll pop the link below, but you can sign up to be notified when the exhibition goes live. Thanks, everyone. I'll talk to you soon. Until then, take care. Bye.